All right, so these are our lab policies, and look how long this list is getting. Like I said, this is here. When I was hired 6 years ago, the dean at that time said, well, I want to see your syllabus before you share it with the students. And I showed her my syllabus, and I had a list that was maybe half this long. And she goes, oh my goodness, look at all these rules you have. People are gonna think that you're this punitive instructor. They're gonna think you're very negative. And I said, well, those are the rules. I mean, these rules are here because I've had these experiences before I was hired here. And she says, well, why don't you start with a clean slate? Start with a clean slate. And I said, okay, I'm gonna try that. Okay, so this is where we're at 6 years later. It's longer than what it was for the first 10 years that I taught at another place. So, yeah, so much for the clean slate. No food or open containers in the lab. That's mentioned outside the door, and there might be another sign in here. So if you have a bottle of water like this, and it's closed, I'm okay with it. Okay, but if it's a loose cup like the Starbucks sippy cups that are loose, that could easily pop open if you squeeze it. You guys know what I mean? Or if you tip it over, it might spill. So I don't want that around the workstations. I know that some of you are coming in after lunch, and if that's the case, so that's not a closed container. This is an open container because it has a straw on it. So if it's closed, I'm okay, but if it's open, just leave it on the tables. And you can just leave it there during the lecture, and when you're done, you can take it with you. Or if you have a box of food, just leave it there at the table, take it with you. But I don't want you eating and having soda or anything like that around the machines. Now, frankly, I don't think you want to be eating around these machines at all, if you think about the environment that you're in, okay? So that's my number one policy, the very first one. It's that important. Please log out or set the computers to sleep when you're done. If you don't, they go to sleep on their own. But if you can put them to sleep, if you can remember that, that would be great. Do not delete anything that does not belong to you. Do not delete anything. If the desktop is messy and it's driving you nuts, just tell me and I'll go and clean it up, or I'll have one of my lab assistants clean up the desktop, but just don't delete it, okay? Because you don't know. Somebody may have lost their flash drive. Somebody forgot their flash drive. There might be something important on that desktop. Store all your work in the documents folder. So that would be really nice. That would be really nice. So that way the desktop doesn't get so messy. Please clean your area before you leave. Do not leave paper or other materials on the workspace. So that would be straw wrappers, candy wrappers, little pieces of notes, or shavings from sharpening a pencil, candy wrappers, candy. Take your stuff with you. Other people are working here. Respect the space. Do not use your own paper in the printer. I already said that. Back up your work. The lab is not responsible for any lost data. I already said that. Cell phones are not allowed in class. I already said that. No disruptive behavior such as YouTube watching, video gaming, and Facebooking. I said that as well. So you'll notice that a lot of these rules appear again because they are really disruptive, and it's also important that this sinks in. Does that make sense? Yes, Miss. I don't care really. That's fine. What I'm concerned with is you're doing this. Like I'm lecturing, I'm up here, and I see you doing this. That's going to drive me nuts. Okay, and it's disrespectful. So if you need to engage on Facebook, go outside and do it. You know what I mean? Like that won't offend me, but if you're going back and forth in and out of the room, that will also be disruptive. All right. So only enrolled students are allowed in the lab. What does it say there, guys? Only who? Enrolled students. So after next Monday, I can only accept enrolled students in the lab. That's just the way it is. It's state law. And part of the reason too is that if anything happens to unenrolled students, you know who's responsible for them? I am. I'm responsible. If you're enrolled, the college isn't responsible. If you're unenrolled, I am responsible. And I'm not going to take on liability for you or your friends. If you bring in somebody else, I'm not going to be liable for them. Report any technical issues to the instructor. So if your L key is not working on your keyboard, I don't know that. So you need to tell me, and I'll open up a technical ticket for it, and somebody will come out and correct it. Okay, they'll put a new keyboard. Students are not allowed to come in with less than 15 minutes in a lab to print. You will not have enough time. So this isn't really important for this class because we don't do a lot of printing here. But I want you to know that there are rules in some of my other classes. I will no longer review work that is not connected to the lab that is taking place. In other words, if it's my 53 class lab, I will not review work tied to ARTS 54. Does that make sense? So this is the 53 class. I want to stay on topic. We're going to talk about 53 stuff here. If you happen to be in my other class and you want to talk about 53 stuff there, I'm going to tell you, no, I need to stay focused, okay? So I will be willing to discuss work for any classes during my allocated office hours. Please review the syllabus when those windows occur and how to get a hold of me. If I inform you that students are not welcome in a particular lab, say I have a critique and I don't want anyone there, you need to respect this. So I have other labs in other classes, and sometimes the students aren't. I have an open lab policy. Like, I don't take roll for labs. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to do whatever you want to do. Usually about a third to halfway through the lab, half of the lab is empty. People have left. So if there's an open seat and you want to come in and work, you're more than welcome to. But there's some days where I don't want any visitors from other classes. And I'm going to say, I don't want you here. I don't want to have an argument with you about it. So there's a rule for this. You need to respect it. Okay? When I state it's time to prepare to leave, it means start saving your files, clean up your space, and get ready to leave. It does not mean last call to print or start a project or run and ask me a question. So usually I say, hey, about 5 minutes right before class ends, I'll say, all right, everybody, it's time to start getting ready. Start getting ready. I've had a number of students that would squat for 15 minutes after class would end, and I have somewhere to be after class as well. Sometimes it's to a meeting, sometimes it's to meet with a student, sometimes it's for me to go eat, and sometimes it's for me to be with my family. But it doesn't matter. You need to respect my time as well. Does that make sense? So if I say it's time to get ready to go, it means get ready to go. Students are not allowed to monopolize printers on a print day. If you cannot respect this, you will be asked to leave the class. I will consider closing my door at the half-hour mark to avoid late arrivals that are disruptive. If these are rules that cannot be honored by students, I will request that you leave the open lab and not attend future lab time. Guests are not allowed in the lecture or lab. Only enrolled graphic design students are allowed. Guests are not allowed in the lecture or lab. Okay, I already did that. Seating is first come, first serve. That's a new one for this quarter. So I had students arguing last quarter. All right, so that's a new one. And here's another one. Manage your personal space in a professional manner. Bags, purses, backpacks, and other personal belongings should not invade other space, push into a second seat, or impede on floor space. This is a safety issue. If you are unable to manage your items, I will ask that you do not bring these items to the class, or I may request that you leave. I had a student that brought in 6 bags to class last quarter. 6 bags. Where was the student going to put the 6 bags? She just put them on the floor, on the table next to her, either way. And I couldn't deal with it. I never said anything because it wasn't a rule, but now it's a rule. Now I can say something. All right, so the point is, please be mindful of what you bring into this space, okay?